One of these days, this hair is just going to be gone. Hello, Jacksonites, and welcome, as promised, to my ranking of the Rocky franchise. And, of course, joining me today is fellow Stallone and Rocky aficionado, Shawnee Boy from JTISREBORN. Say hello and turn off your damn TV before I get a copyright strike.
It's down to like 2, so you can't hear it. But hello, Daddy's home, cake every night. Yo, Adrian, I did it. It ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Yo, Adrian, I did it.
Oh my God.
I'm so happy. We're talking about like literally one of my favorite franchises of all time.
Okay, so yes, we have said that we both love Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we can take some time out of our day to talk about easily his biggest competitor, and that is, of course, Sylvester Stallone. I am a very, very, very big Sylvester Stallone fan, I will admit. Yes, some of my favorite movies of all time are Stallone movies. And similar to Schwarzenegger, it's very difficult for Stallone to be in a legitimately bad movie.
He's done some. He's done Rhinestone. Or Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Now, I haven't seen, like, all of Stallone's movies like I have with Arnold. There's some Arnold movies I still haven't seen, but I've definitely explored Arnold's filmography more than Stallone. But I am very familiar with Stallone's arguably 2 most famous franchises, that being Rocky and, of course, Rambo. And Rocky, of course, being his baby. This specifically was the film that brought Stallone to the mainstream audience and won him multiple Academy Awards with the first Rocky film. We are aware that his very first movie that he ever did was a softcore porn movie. I haven't seen it, nor do I have any desire to. But yes, I'm aware he got his start in the film industry through porn. Ew. I don't want to think about Stallone having sex.
Well, you see Stallone's ass in a lot of these movies.
Yeah, like the first Rambo.
And Rocky 5. And Tango and Cash.
Yeah, so I haven't seen nearly as many of Stallone's movies. Like, believe it or not, I've never seen a single Expendable movie. Ever.
The only one worth watching is 2.
That's generally what I hear. But yeah, I've never seen any of those movies. Haven't seen Cobra. I haven't seen the...
I bought Cobra, but haven't seen it.
I haven't seen The Assassins. I have not seen... Oh, what are some other Stallone...
I haven't watched it yet. Demolition Man. You've seen Demolition Man, right?
I've seen parts of Demolition Man. From what I've seen, it looks entertaining enough.
It's fucking great. It's way ahead of its time. It basically predicted a lot of the future. Tango and Cash?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's the last movie of the 1980s. Literally the first line Stallone's like, he's just like, Rambo is a pussy. He literally says that. And I laughed really hard. Like, plus you got Kurt Russell in there, and Kurt Russell just like fucking just cool as shit.
Oh, anyway, so yeah, I am familiar with Stallone, and in my opinion, one of his most underrated movies was Bullet to the Head, where he's kind of playing a bad guy in the film, but you just can't help but like him in that movie. He also battles Jason Momoa in that film too. So, yeah, I think that's one of his more underrated movies. But yeah, I like me some Stallone. He's debatably more talented than Schwarzenegger, but I still will admit I do prefer Schwarzenegger.
Here's the way I look at it. Stallone is like, I think you're right on. I think Stallone can do the drama better, but Arnold can do kind of the funny, like action bits better. Yeah. I think they each have their strengths. I'm more of a Schwarzenegger fan, but Stallone can do drama way better than Schwarzenegger ever could. And
yeah, Stallone can direct. I don't think Arnold can.
Right. And he can write too.
He can, yes.
Yeah, because like Stallone, like something about Stallone with this thing, because like there was something like, especially with Rocky, where it just felt really like genuine, and like Rocky Balboa is, in my opinion, one of the greatest characters in cinema history. very likable, very down to earth, very real. Like a lot of great life lessons can be said in the Rocky franchise.
Hang on one sec. So I thought, well, since I'm watching some Stallone movies, why not talk about arguably his most famous franchise aside from Rambo? And 10 minutes into the video, we're going to be ranking the Rocky movies. Sean, you may go first because I can pretty much predict your bottom of the barrel, but go ahead.
I respond. Okay, well, I know you don't want to count the Creed
Oh, yeah.
movies, but
One disclaimer. We will not be including the Creed movies for 3 reasons on my part. 1, I haven't seen them. 2, I have no interest in them. 3, I think the Rocky movies definitively should have ended with Rocky Balboa. Anything else, I just don't care. And so there's 2 movies past Rocky Balboa, so I don't care. I really do not care. I am aware that the Creed movies were Stallone's idea. I don't care. I do not care one eeny beeny tiny bit. I have zero interest in those films whatsoever.
Well, here's what I'll say. Movies, because I feel like I should talk
Hang
about
on.
them, even though this is a Rocky video.
Say that again. You paused for a minute.
Oh, I'm saying because I am a huge Rocky fan and I have seen the Creed and I own both Creed films, I feel like I need to say something about them too. So I'll say this though: the Creed films, if I were going to rank all 8 films, the Creed films are slightly above like my number 6 pick of Rocky. So I guess in last place is Rocky 5. I mean, that's just a given because I don't think Rocky 5 is good. But slightly above that, I put Creed 1. And then above that, I put Creed 2. Because Creed 2 is like a sequel to Rocky 4. And like the stuff with Drago is really, really good. But there's still something about the Creed films that I think kind of like I think that my biggest problem with the Creed films is they have to bring the Rocky characters down in order for it to work. You wouldn't have a movie.
Sound familiar? Sounds like the sequel trilogy to Star Wars.
That's pretty much my main issue with the Creed films. I mean, again, there's still good things in them. Like Stallone is fucking outstanding.
Well, with Paulie's absence, it's understandable because the actor's dead. At least I think he is.
I thought he was still alive. I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
Or he may have retired, but I know that the actor who played Paulie, I think one of his last movies was Rocky Balboa, and that was back in 2006. And I think the first Creed came out in 2015, I believe.
15. I saw Balboa in theaters. One of my fondest cinema memories.
You lucky bastard.
Rocky has been in my DNA since I was a kid. Like it's literally it's legit like top 5 favorite movie franchises. I just can't get enough of it. Like if I'm ever low and in need of motivation, I'll just watch a bunch of Rocky movies and then I just want to run a mile.
Yeah, me too. That's one thing I will say. I remember growing up in high school, me, my dad, and my stepmom had Comcast, and we had, of course, Xfinity. And there was one time where they put on the first 5 Rocky movies on Xfinity, and it was winter. And I will say the Rocky movies, especially the first 2, are excellent winter movies. And I watched them, and they just made me so motivated to go out and exercise and get into better shape. Because they're excellent motivational movies.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so anyways,
you're number 6.
Yes, when I was doing this, my number 6, again, I want to emphasize that if I were to include the Creed films, the 2 Creed films would be slightly above this number 6 one, but then below everything else. So that's all I want to say. We'll move on. So for my number 6 pick, I'm going to go with Rocky 5. Now, Rocky 5 is the worst film in this franchise. Stallone doesn't even like it.
Yeah, I know. Kind of hilariously. I'll save my thoughts when I get to mine because you'll be kind of surprised.
See, my biggest problem with Rocky 5, God, there's a lot of problems with it. I'll say this, there are a few good scenes. The opening scene where he's just shaking violently and terrified, that's pretty good.
The end
the
fight.
Street fight's entertaining. the end fight's entertaining. The cameo from Burgess Meredith, the Duke just getting touch me now. That guy.
Sue me for what?
Yeah. Yeah, see, those bits are entertaining. The rest of the movie, it's just, I don't like Tommy Gunn. I never have. I don't like how Rocky loses everything. I mean, I understand like what he was going for. I understand what they were going for because, again, like each Rocky movie kind of tackles a different theme in terms of like the lifestyle of a fighter in a lot of ways. Like the first one's just kind of the underdog story. Second one's about kind of proving that legitimacy and actually like following through to say it wasn't a fluke. Rocky 3 is
success.
A great one because, you know, yeah, success goes to one's head and becoming complacent, which is basically like everything, which was the opposite of kind of the first two films, where Rocky's kind of complacent and he's just kind of like, you gotta get that eye of the tiger, and there's something. Rocky 4 is just, well, revenge, I guess.
No, let's say rivalry. Let's say rivalry. That's Rocky 4.
Yeah, let's just say.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of boxers, when they're at the top of the world for a little while, and then they come across that one fighter where they have that heated rivalry with.
Right, and then there's other things too, like Apollo Creed, who just like a lot of fighters like just don't want to get old. They want to keep like, what does a fighter do when he's done? And then Balboa is just kind of like unfinished business. So just has been trying to reclaim a sense of old glory again. Fantastic movies, fantastic, except for 5. I don't like Rocky 5. The music isn't as good. I think Stallone had the mistake of not directing it.
Yes,
because John G. Avildsen, he's done some great stuff, but like
Karate Kid.
He kind of fell off the earth a bit after Karate Kid 2, I want to say, in terms of directing, because Karate Kid 3 isn't very good outside of Terry Silver.
No, it's not good at all. I don't like Karate Kid Part 3 at all. It's literally just a half-assed retread of the first movie. It's so dull. It's so boring, and it's so forced.
It is. Outside of Terry Silver,
there's nothing good about it. For me, at least, there's absolutely nothing good about it.
Thank God for Cobra Kai, though.
Haven't seen that. I have not seen that at all. I haven't even seen the next Karate Kid or the Jackie Chan Karate Kid.
Yeah, you're not missing.
That is generally what I hear with the next Karate Kid and the Jackie Chan Karate Kid. I just hear I'm really not missing all that much, but I feel like I actually would like the next Karate Kid a lot more than most people, because if I'm going to be honest, when it comes to Karate Kid, I like Mr. Miyagi way more than Daniel.
Yeah, same here. And Daniel becomes a little bit of a douche in Cobra Kai, but like Cobra Kai is brilliant. I don't want to say anything else. I love Cobra Kai so much, and I can't wait for season 3 next month. They're only half-hour episodes, and there's only 10 of them.
Oh God, are we gonna have another Ash versus Evil Dead situation with this show?
What? That they're gonna cancel? No, Cobra Kai is like the top-rated show on Netflix.
Oh, okay, so that's good.
So there's you got more coming. And again, I've talked to William Zabka, the guy who plays Johnny. Like when I met him at a Comic-Con, we talked for like 15 minutes. He's a pretty cool dude. But anyways, back to Rocky. We're getting off track. But,
well, it's hard not to talk about Rocky and Karate Kid because they were directed by the same guy, and also Rocky and Daniel are both Italian. So a lot of people, I've heard them call Daniel like a young teenage version of Rocky. But
yeah, there's a lot of similarities to it, but Daniel's like not as likable as Rocky.
Not even half.
Right. I mean, I still kind of like him, but like he's still an interesting character. But Mr. Miyagi is the real reason to watch those movies.
Daniel's at his best in Karate Kid 2, in my opinion. That's just the best Karate Kid movie, in my opinion, is Karate Kid 2. But yeah, let's get back to Rocky. Your least favorite is Rocky 5. How it has literally fuck all to do with the rest of the Rocky movies.
Yeah, I just hated seeing Rocky's entire life just kind of get thrown away for lame reasons. It just felt like a lame excuse to kind of just.
I don't even remember how it was explained.
So basically, Paulie, when Rocky was in Russia, again, it seemed like 5 years passed, obviously, but like he comes back and he's like, "Hey, yo, kid," I'm like, "You're 10 years older now, son." I'm like, "How long was he in Russia for?" But anyways, so yeah, it's after the Drago fight, and Rocky loses his fortune because of some like giving power of attorney to like a accountant who just did some fraudulent things, and instead of like doing commercials, they're like, oh, we'll let it come out. They did criminal records, and it's a fucking mess. It's just not very good. It's not directed very well. It lost the coolness of Rocky IV, which is this big epic action movie, and the drama just isn't all that compelling compared to Rocky Balboa, where the drama is really good. So that leads me to my number 5 pick, because I just don't like Rocky V, Nick. I tried, I really have tried, but when I watch it, like, there's just very minimal things to like about it.
So my number 6. Yeah, Shawnee Boy already knows this one. So, sometimes I really kind of hate being that guy that goes against the grain. My least favorite Rocky is the first film. Let me get this out of the way. Rocky is a great movie. It's a great, well-made, well-directed, well-acted, very entertaining, great film. Just in the context of the franchise, it's my least favorite. I prefer the sequels. It feels like the first episode of a series. And
the thing is too, like you said, Nick, I'll say this: the Rocky franchise, in my opinion, is
it's
the most
very
consistently
consistent.
good movie franchise. The most consistently good movie franchise of all time. One fuck up, and that's 5. And even then, there's still some redeeming qualities. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No, this is a fantastic film. So don't let the fact that this is my least favorite take anything away from it. Just in the context of the franchise, it's just my least favorite. There's nothing bad about it per se, except for the fight itself. Not a big fan of the fight in this movie. It's fun and it's well done. It's a good boxing match. It's just my least favorite of the series. Just like everything else about this movie, it's my least favorite. I'm used to mid to late 80s and 90s Sylvester Stallone, not 70s and early 80s Sylvester Stallone. So this movie just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb to me. And I don't have much to say about it. It's a great film. I just prefer the sequels. And I also think that the story that goes into it is a little bit more interesting than the film itself. Like, Stallone was actually homeless at the time he was doing this movie. Because this movie took off, obviously this made Sylvester Stallone go mainstream, and it brought him out of being homeless, which is cool. And I don't want to take anything away from that either. But just in the context of the Rocky franchise, it's my least favorite. But again, it is a great movie. So, yeah, not much to say. Just, yeah, it's my least favorite.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Really nothing too bad. It's just that goes to show you the quality of this.
It is very 70s.
It is.
Very, very, very 70s. Not in a bad way, but I'm just stating it's like a time capsule of 1970s Philadelphia.
Yeah, and it's great that way. Like, it's such an inspirational movie too.
Mm-hmm. So you're number 5.
Number 5, the first Rocky movie, technically the only Rocky movie I ever saw in theaters, Rocky Balboa. Fantastic movie. Just a great all-around fantastic movie. I remember being very hyped to see this thing. I think the reason I don't like it as much as some of the other ones, I think because Rocky's not in his prime at this point. There's some great speeches. Again, that speech Stallone gives to his son about it ain't how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. There's some great life lessons in this film. It's very inspiring. I think kind of weak points for me, Mason Dixon, he's not a bad guy per se, but he's just not as...
He has no personality.
He's what?
There's no personality.
Right, he's just kind of there. And again, the fights and training aren't as... Because again, it's not Rocky at his peak. But again, it's such a perfect closure to the series. That final scene where Rocky's just raising his arm, that's all you really need. And again, like, it kind of... this is another dig at Creed, but like, it kind of... One thing about Creed is it kind of like one of the most important things about Rocky Balboa is he kind of resolves kind of some of his leftover issue he had with his son, but then in Creed, it's just like, oh, he doesn't even talk to his son anymore. There's some bad things in Creed. It isn't until Creed 2 where they're reunited, but it's just dumb. But anyways, Rocky Balboa is kind of the deal where it's like, again, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's some good drama. It feels way more genuine than Rocky 5. Stallone came back to direct it, and there was just something really special about seeing Rocky go for one final round. So, again, I really like the movie.
Then why the fuck is it so low?
Because I like the other movies more.
Oh, okay.
So again, that's kind of like you with the first movie, so low. It's just like you just like the other movies more.
All right, so at my number 5 is Rocky 5. Yeah, the infamous Rocky 5. Okay, so I do and I don't think this movie is as bad as everyone else says that it is. Like, I saw James Rolfe's review of all of his Rocky movies, like his 5 or 6 minute long videos of all the Rocky movies before I saw Rocky 5, and I would just see nothing but negativity. Like to quote him in his video of top 10 sequels that aren't as bad as everyone says it is, number 4 was Rocky 5. And to quote him, it says, I haven't heard anyone say one good thing about this movie. Even Sylvester Stallone despises it and gives it a rating of 0, which is hilarious. And it is. Because, like, I would just see nothing but negativity about this movie. Hang on one sec. Yeah, I would just see nothing but negative comments about this movie, and just everyone says it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. So I went into Rocky 5 with a little bit of trepidation, and I was like, really? This is the worst movie ever? You guys really oversold this one. I don't think Rocky 5 is as bad as everyone else says that it is. Now, it's not a good Rocky movie. This feels like a diet Rocky film. And yes, I do agree that it's strongly missing Stallone's direction. I think John Avildsen should have directed only the first one, and then Stallone should have had the rest of the franchise. It's really missing Stallone's direction. The reason for why Rocky loses all of his fame and fortune is dumb, pointless, and forced. His issues that he has with his son are just dumb and stupid. It's cool that he got his actual real life son to play him, but at the same time, it kind of makes you think, wait, how the hell did he age 5 years and 3 months? The fuck? I know there's a 5-year difference between.
A long time.
Yeah, I guess he was in a rush.
The whole time.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Yeah, I don't like Tommy Gunn. He's too arrogant, and once again, he feels like diet Rocky. This feels like it very much so feels like a diet version of a Rocky movie. The end fight is fantastic. That flashback scene with Burgess Meredith is amazing. Like it almost brings you to tears, in my opinion. The opening is really good. Like it's really well done, and it's really well shot. Like he's just shaking violently and all that. But the main issue with Rocky 5 is that it's just kind of aimless. They try to do like a passing of the torch type thing, but it ends up failing, both in the context of the film and also in real life, because it just kind of feels forced. You don't really know what the hell Rocky's trying to do most of the movie. Like with Adrian, she's being smart. She's going back to the only job she ever knew to try to keep her family afloat. But what the fuck is Rocky doing the entire time? If you want to become a boxing coach, that's all well and good, but why would you have only one student? And yeah, Tommy Gunn, he's very boring. He's very dull. He's very pointless as a character. Creighton Duke is incredibly no, not Creighton Duke. That's Friday the 13th. George Washington Duke.
I mix them up sometimes too. I call him.
Well, it doesn't help that he's played by the dude who played the coroner in Friday the 13th Part 9. Yeah, George Washington Duke, he's really annoying. Really, really, really annoying. But the scene where Stallone like sucker punches him and then goes, "Sue me for what?" is pretty priceless. But yeah, the movie's just kind of aimless and it's kind of dull and a bit boring at times. And it just feels...
Music sucks too.
The music is not very impressive. It feels like they were trying to recapture the spirit of the first movie, but why were they trying to recapture the spirit of the first movie? It's not like the series was really like going downhill or anything like that. So, I don't know. Rocky...
the highest grossing film.
Huh?
4 was the highest grossing film. It still is.
So yeah, not a big fan of Rocky 5. I don't think it's as bad as everyone says that it is, but at that same time, it's not that great. And I can understand why Stallone doesn't really care for it. And again, it's really, really lacking Stallone's direction. Number 4.
So at number 4, keep in mind, these top 4, it was very tough for me to choose. But at number 4, I'm going to go with Rocky 4. I love Rocky 4. But there's hardly any story.
No, there's no story. It feels... Oh, I'm going to save that. But yeah, there's no story. There's none at all. You could sum up the story in a half-hour short film.
I'm telling you, if you cut out the montages, it's less than an hour long.
I also think it's one of the shortest of the entire series.
It's the most what?
I think it's... I know that 3 is the shortest of the whole series, but I think right behind that is 4.
Yeah, 4 is pretty much just an hour and a half long, but you cut out the montages, it's less than an hour long. But the montages, best in the franchise. I feel like when winter comes around, I always want to train like Rocky in the snow, just running up a mountain or something. The music is fucking incredible. Vincent DiCola did the score this time around instead of Bill Conti, and it's definitely a very different tone. There's no like,
both Rocky 3 and 4 are 91 minutes each.
Well, Rocky 3 has way more story.
Yes.
But 4 is fucking great. Rocky ends the Cold War. Drago is amazing. He doesn't have to say much to leave it. Although there's some things that have always kind of bugged me. I always hated watching Apollo die.
Yeah.
I loved Apollo Creed. I think Apollo Creed is a fantastic character, and Carl Weathers is he's just a really good actor.
A joy.
But man, it's just tough watching him die. And even Stallone, I think, kind of regrets it. You know, he's actually coming out with the director's cut of Rocky 4.
Sweet. That is another thing I don't like about the Creed movies. It makes Apollo into kind of an unlikable guy because he cheated.
I hated that about Creed so much. I'm like, you're taking this really like well-rounded guy, and you have to. I don't understand the need for it because again, with Creed 1, they can't decide on a direction with what they want to do with Adonis. It's like, okay, is he somebody who grew up in a poor upbringing? No, he's immediately kind of adopted, and then he doesn't have to worry about money or finances or anything like that. It doesn't really know what it wants to do with him as a character necessarily. But I hate the idea of Apollo Creed, like, because Apollo Creed was this upstanding guy. Why take away from that?
Yeah.
Why not just have his wife pregnant during Rocky 4?
I don't know.
Is it really that hard? It just all that kind of irritated me. I just don't understand the need for it because again, it has to tear down Rocky in order to exist, and that shouldn't be what you have to do. Because Rocky is supposed to be kind of this more hopeful series and like inspiring, but Creed kind of takes away from that and kind of really just deconstruct it. Last Jedi's it in a way, but like not enough to destroy it entirely because Stallone is that good. And there's still some good elements to it. It's just Rocky is better than Creed.
Yes.
So that's why it's kind of low. But Creed 2, on the other hand, I think Creed 2, because it's more of a direct sequel to Rocky 4, and it brings in the Dragos. And Dolph Lundgren talks way more in that movie than he ever did in this one. But the stuff with the Dragos is really, really good. Like,
going back to Rocky 4.
Going back to Rocky 4, because I think the Dragos are pretty interesting, and they do some crazy stuff in the Creed 2. Again, Rocky 4, not
no
much in terms of
story.
No story. Fucking ridiculous. I mean, there's literally just a random montage of it. It's literally just a music video, but it's an awesome
It's an awesome music video.
It totally is. Hearts on Fire, No Easy Way Out. Every time I'm driving, I put on No Easy Way Out. I just want to have like quick cutaways when I'm turning, and then I just start flashing images in my head.
Then, of course, there's a lot of music that sounds very similar to the Unicron theme from the 80s Transformers cartoon movie.
Yep, because Vince DiCola did the score. Rocky 4 is so overdone. Fucking Living in America. Like, just James Brown's performing. You cut out the music video stuff. It's less than an hour long of a movie. There's hardly any story. I mean, it's just the training montages are. It's just and Rocky's inability to dodge and just take every punch in that.
Yeah, I'll get to that one when it's on my list, but yeah, the fight scene is.
Oh my god! Like, it got to the point where you get kind of annoyed, because in Rocky 3 he learns to actually become a good fighter, because he's more of a brawler, and like, he just has the heart, but he's never been a great fighter. Apollo's the one who actually taught him how to really box, like a true fighter. That's what allowed him to be Clever Lang, but he kind of just forgets all of that. Just goes, and then like, how does he survive? How does he survive? Like, fucking Apollo gets killed in 2 rounds. Rocky goes 15 and takes.
God damn, was it 15?
Yeah. And then he somehow is alive, and he's given a speech at the end.
Has it been reduced to 10, or is it still 15 with boxing matches?
Boxing, I think, has gone down to like 10, maybe 12.
Well, because I know the boxing match between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather was supposed to be 10, but Conor was boxed out by, was it 9?
7, I think.
I heard it was 9.
I don't know. I remember watching that fight at like a Dave & Buster's.
Never been there.
So, but anyways, at number 4 is Rocky 4.
Floyd Mayweather. So moving on, my number 4, Rocky 2. Kind of more of the same, but the reason why I like this one more than the first one, this is an excellent character study. It's interesting to see Rocky, who came from nothing, come into something and then very quickly devolve back into nothing. It's an excellent character study in that aspect. Like, you see how Rocky is in the first movie when he's poor, and then you see how he reacts when he has money with Rocky 2. And all the drama that he has with Adrian, and them getting married, her getting pregnant, her having a premature birth, and him, like,
it was 10 rounds.
They lasted 10 rounds?
10 rounds. 10 rounds, at 1 minute and 5 seconds. The ref called it and gave Mayweather the win.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, my brother's here, so pardon that.
Okay.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the character study aspects of this movie are great, and there's a little bit more Burgess Meredith action that I really like too, like how he kind of literally slaps Rocky right in the face with making him realize, hey, you're kind of acting like a dumbass when you're the way you're training and all that. But probably my biggest problem with Rocky 2 is, once again, it's a little slow.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
And the fight scene, the boxing match, it's fun, but it's kind of poorly choreographed, because there's a lot of times where you can tell that Rocky and Apollo's punches clearly do not make contact at all. Like, there's one scene where Apollo has Rocky in a corner, and he's just like flicking his hands out, and you can clearly see that there's like this much space between Apollo's fist and Stallone's face, and it's really, really noticeable, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. But it does make up for that with the very end with him saying, "Yo, Adrian, I did it." Rocky 2 is an excellent
moment.
Rocky 2 is an excellent sequel, and it's a very fun film. It has a couple issues here or there, but it's a good movie.
Yeah. So on to number 3. So my number 3 ranking, again, 2 and 3 were really tough to choose which one I liked a little bit more. But at number 3, I'm going to go with Rocky 1. Again, you pretty much summed up why Rocky 1's just a fantastic movie. But again, it's the first one. It's the first to do this. There's genuine heart. It won Best Picture. Just kind of just going the distance and just seeing this character journey through Rocky and Adrian and Mickey and Apollo was kind of more. Apollo was still good, but he wasn't like as flesh. He became a more interesting character as the series went on, especially
absolutely
between 2 and 3. 3, it's magic.
Yes,
but like Apollo's, yes. But again, there's just something really inspiring, and the music. God,
fantastic.
I just love the movie. I don't know. I don't know what else I could really say. I do want to do a review on the Rocky franchise at some
also,
point.
Talia Shire is definitely at her weakest acting in the first film. That's just because she ain't got that much to do. But her best scene is definitely when she finally snaps at Paulie, saying, "I take care of you, Paulie. I don't owe you nothing." But outside of that,
kind of fits with her character more because Rocky and Adrian are a very good, loving couple in the Rocky franchise. Very supportive of each other. Like Rocky can't go without her, and she can't really go without him. If you know what I'm saying, like they complete each other. So again, that's the first one. She's kind of really timid, and then she kind of slowly starts to open up. 2, she's very protective, and 3, she's just like
badass,
tough as nails, like badass. Exactly, and it's a great character arc for her. A lot of the characters in the franchise, like they're really, really good. Just the way Rocky kind of develops. Adrian, I fucking love Paulie. Like Paulie's always just this drunk asshole.
But he's a good uncle. He's a good uncle in 3 and especially 4.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
I don't smoke you. Dumbass.
But again, first one is just a fantastic film. The training, the first time you hear "Gonna Fly Now," Rocky climbing up, getting to the top of the steps. Oh, it's wonderful. It's just really wonderful cinema. And I'll bring that up again when I get to Rocky 2, which you'll see in a second. But anyways, you go ahead.
My number 3 is Rocky 4. Yeah, no fucking story. There's barely any story in this movie, and it's almost laughable how little story there is in this movie. But it's just an extended montage movie, and as an extended montage movie, it's entertaining as hell. It's 80s as fuck. Oh my god, is it 80s? But the inclusion of the robot is a little stupid. But yeah, it's 80s as fuck. It's very Cold War as fuck too. Like literally, this movie is about America versus Russia in a boxing match, and it's very over the top. It's very ridiculous. It's very 80s, but it's also very entertaining, very motivational, very fun, and just overall, it's a good fucking movie. I've literally seen some people say Rocky 4 is the worst of the entire franchise. I strongly disagree. Does it have a weak story? Does it have a weak story? Yes. But Rocky 4 is fucking awesome. I don't give a shit what anybody says about it. Moving on.
No, it's fucking entertaining. So at number 2, Rocky 2. And again, this is really tough for me to choose between 1 and 2, which one I liked more. But then again, I thought back to one scene in particular, and that's the Gonna Fly Now montage when Rocky's running through Philadelphia, and he has like literally like hundreds of people like with him.
Yeah, I like that one more.
Chanting. It's just that moment where that's the scene that makes me get behind the movie more than the first film. Like it's just that moment right there where you have that scene alone is what sets. And plus, he finally does win.
Yep.
So, and the first one, again, he didn't need to really win. It was all about going the distance. But like the second one's like, he's got to win this time.
Yep.
And Apollo Creed is a fascinating character too, because he's not really a bad guy. It's just he's a true warrior. Like he wants to win. Winning by a split decision is not good enough for him. He has to win and win outright. He was humiliated. Like he didn't expect this guy to do this. I mean, he gave it his all when he was in the fight because he came to realize, like, there's finally somebody out there who could really challenge me. And then he just beats the shit out of Rocky in the second fight. And he would have won too, because he was clearly the way better fighter. But Rocky just had more heart and a harder head. And he just kind of like barely escaped that fight. So, and again, that's what I liked about it. Because Apollo Creed is not inherently a bad guy. He just did what he could because he probably was on the line. Even his trainer was just like, let it go. Just let it go. Like this guy's not good for us. But Apollo Creed, he's not like, because again, one thing about Rocky V that they kind of dive into is the politics of boxing. But like Apollo Creed, just kind of like he wants to fight like the best opponents. Like he's got true.
That's another issue with Rocky V is the politics of boxing. Nobody gives a shit about the politics of boxing. At least I don't. So that's another reason why I don't like Rocky V that much, is because who the fuck wants to watch a movie about the politics of boxing? I know I sure as fuck don't.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
I mean, it still explored that idea. But again, Rocky 2, it's pretty much neck and neck with the first film for me. But I think just little bits. It definitely does have its moments where it does drag. Definitely in the first portion of the film. But man, the training montages are more exciting. Again, my favorite moment in all the training montages is just where he runs up the steps. He literally has everybody cheering with him. Like, how can you not like cheer for this guy? Like, how can you not get behind him? Like, there's something really special about like a whole city rallying behind just one guy as their true fighting champion. It's this real underdog, and it's just like he got so close last time, but now we're like he's back and ready to go. So, and again, there's some really good drama too. Like you brought up beforehand, like how does he handle actually getting a little bit of success, but he's so happy that he doesn't realize he's spending all of his money and not being very wise about it.
Hate to say it, but that's something that I would do. But I would still at least try to make sure that I have a way to support my family. But yeah, that would be me. If I came into some kind of success or money, I would definitely go a little nuts with it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I again love the first one. Love pretty much all the Rocky films except for 5, but 2 slightly above 1. Fight's a little more exciting too at the end. I think that's Stallone's directing at play. Plus, Yo, Adrian, I did it.
Yeah.
That's
my number 2, Rocky 3. I definitely do also think one issue with Rocky 4 is that it kind of is a carbon copy of Rocky 3. Minus, well, actually, no, it still does have someone die. Because Mickey dies in this movie, and then Apollo dies in the next movie. I like to think, similar to how with the Phantasm franchise and quite a few installments in the Godzilla franchise, Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 go together very well. Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 go together very well, too. But in my opinion, Rocky 3 is definitely the better of the two. It's got a much more interesting villain, in my opinion. Like, Drago has a great presence to him, but Clubber Lang has the mouth, and that makes him interesting, or that makes him entertaining to listen to.
I love Mr. T.
No, I don't hate Balboa, but I pay the fool. I also love the training montages, and it's nuts how much Stallone like physically changed for this movie. Like the announcers of the fight say that he looks 20 pounds trim. And yeah, Stallone in his Rambo First Blood commentary stated that at that time, because he had just finished Rocky 3, when he was doing the first Rambo, he was on 165 pounds at the time. It definitely shows in Rocky 3. Both of the fights are fantastic. The opening montage with Rocky on a winning streak, listening to Eye of the Tiger, is fucking phenomenal. This movie is also very, very 80s, but in a very fun way. Adrian's motivational speech to Rocky halfway through, like she literally doesn't like physically beat him down, but she kind of mentally beats him down and then brings him back up. And then the final fight is so fucking entertaining.
Oh, it is, because you get the music, Conquest.
Yep. And it's also fun whenever enemies become friends, and they weren't enemies. They were rivals, but they weren't like bitter rivals. So there's like no animosity between the two. It was just they were two boxers that were former rivals, and now they're best friends. So I like that when that happens in movies. Rocky 3 is just a freaking awesome movie. It's very entertaining, very easy to watch too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's not one scene in this movie that's boring. Hell, it's my brother's favorite Rocky movie. Yeah, Rocky 3 is an excellent film.
All right, well, you just talked about it, but my number one favorite Rocky film, and again, this is very tough to choose, but I got to go with Rocky 3. Rocky 3 is a very entertaining film. It's paced perfectly, no bits drag, because that's one of my issues with Rocky 2. I mean, some of the drama can be more engaging, but it definitely does drag at times.
3 trims the fat.
Yeah, it trims the fat. It's a lot more focused movie. There's some hokey stuff in 3. I mean, he fights fucking Hulk Hogan in a wrestling match, which doesn't really need to be there, but it's fun.
So fucking entertaining. God, I always forget about that fight, but fuck me, is it fun to watch.
The opening bit with the Eye of the Tiger montage is awesome. Because it does a great job setting up the story without really having to, dialogue or anything. It just, kind of shows, how Rocky has changed, as a character, and kind of how Stallone has in general, and about how, rising to the top, becoming complacent, forgotten rival. And one of the most brilliant moves of all time is having Apollo Creed be the one to train Rocky, especially considering where the first 2 films were. Really does a great job with Apollo's character, fleshing him out, because you also got to look at it from Apollo's perspective. When he watched Rocky losing that fight, that ate him up on the inside, because he's like, how could this same person beat me? When he knows he could beat, Clubber Lang, because, it's all about technique. He's like, this is pathetic. There's no excuse why he lost that. There's some really emotional scenes too. Mickey dying's a very tough scene.
Yeah, that hurt.
Because,
that's really, really tough to watch. I actually think it was more difficult to watch than Apollo dying, because, yeah, Apollo and Rocky were very, very good friends, but Mickey was like Rocky's father.
Yeah,
in a way. So that was even way more difficult. You see the anguish in Rocky's face after Apollo dies, but when Mickey dies, you definitely see the grief, and I think that's what makes it more difficult to watch.
Yeah, especially when he's talking at Apollo's funeral, I can't understand what the hell he's saying.
That's why you watch it with subtitles.
Plus, the soundtrack. Again, just there is no tomorrow. One of my favorite bits in the movie is that Adrian having a great scene. Rocky ends racism. That's another thing. When running. That's another thing it ended. And again, Apollo kind of did it all to help get him back, but he also wanted to have his little rematch. And again, it just that final shot where they just go to punch each other, and then just kind of ends right there. I mean, Mr. T as Clubber Lang is awesome.
Yes.
Completely, he does not shut the fuck up.
No. To the point where it almost gets annoying.
That's what makes him great. He's just intense the whole time. That's what I loved when they had the contrast between him and Drago between the films. Because, again, Stallone's very good at making good, antagonists in his movies. He is. He's very good at it. When he's allowed to kind of write them, because he did this. I think did he work on Demolition Man writing that too? I don't know, but
I don't remember.
He is good at that because again, Clubber Lang was kind of where he was at in the first 2 movies when you think about it.
He was just mean about it.
Right. He was just more pissed off mean. He just wasn't inherently a good person. He just wanted to hurt people, and he wanted to fight, and he just was pissed off the whole fucking time. So.
Yep. So my number 1 is Rocky Balboa. This is pretty much what I wanted out of the first movie. It's one of those distant sequels that manages to capture the spirit of the first movie and in my opinion, is a better version of the first movie. It's a great return to form film, both for Stallone and Rocky as a whole. It's one of those sequels that does do a good job of killing off a beloved character. They didn't do it to be spiteful. They killed off Adrian in this movie, but you don't really feel like she's missing. If that makes any sense, because he talks about her all the time. He literally visits her grave multiple times in the movie.
It doesn't feel cheap.
No, it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like she couldn't return, so they'll just write her off in one quick scene and then completely forget about her.
It's not an Alien 3 situation.
Yeah, not a bullshit write-off. It feels legit. It's not like Stallone was being spiteful. He had a reason for doing it, and it wasn't stupid. But his drama of reconnecting with his son is really, really good. I actually think the actor who plays Paulie gives his best performance in this movie, especially when he was saying at the beginning, saying, "I can't do the trip anymore. You treated her good. You had the good times. I treated her bad. I don't have to think about this. Sorry, Rocco. I can't do this no more." Yeah, I think I can't remember his name.
Burt Young.
Burt Young, thank you. I knew Burt was in it. Yeah, I think Burt Young gives his best performance in this movie as Rocky. And debatably, Stallone gives his best performance as Rocky, too. There's some good stuff in 3.
Some great performances.
Yeah.
His performance in Creed 1 is really, really good, though.
So I've heard.
I don't know if you watched this. Yeah, you know what? I'll send you one scene where just kind of a dramatic scene, because Rocky gets cancer, and because you find out, like, he doesn't want to go through treatment because Adrian did the same thing, and he's kind of ready to move on at this point, because he's just like everyone around me just keeps dying, and he just can't really like live it anymore. I'm kind of bummed too, because there's like some deleted scenes. I think it was Creed 2. There was a scene where like he goes to Spider Rico's funeral, and then he's just like, it's on YouTube. It's actually a really good scene where he's just like, you see Rocky kind of looks around. He's like, all my friends are gone. And then you just kind of just like pause that, and you just feel really sad, because like Rocky has been through so much shit, and you're just like, yeah, like there's something really sad about it. That kind of got me choked up a bit too. I'm like, yeah, he's getting old, and like all his friends are kind of going away at this point. It's like the end of Rocky's journey almost. But again, Stallone apparently there's going to be 2 more Rocky related movies. There's going to be Creed 3, and then Stallone had another idea where he trains another fighter or something. I don't know. And a potential Rocky TV series.
That I wouldn't mind seeing. I want to see that Rambo series even more. But I also love how well this movie maintains its continuity. Like, the Rocky movies have a really strong continuity overall, but I love how this was it was also an anniversary film, in the sense of it brought back every single character from the past. Like, you have Burt Young, of course, returning as Paulie. And one thing that I really was surprised about is the return of Tony Burton as Apollo's trainer, whom is one of only 3 actors to be in every single Rocky movie, the other being Burt Young and Stallone, and of course there's Tony Burton. And I think he gives his best performance in this movie too. I think it was really poetic having the trainer of his rival become his trainer now in the future. Like, I love his phrase, every time you take a shot, he's going to feel like you tried kissing the express train. Yeah, let's start building some hurting bombs. Love it. Oh, and of course you have to have the return of Gonna Fly Now, of course. It kind of sucks that we didn't have Eye of the Tiger, but whatever. At least you had Gonna Fly Now. Gotta have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed in the newer Creed movies. The music montage is like, Fighting Strong is a pretty good, like, new theme, but, like, I really miss Gonna Fly Now. I mean, they have it kind of in there a bit. With the music.
They're trying to pull Disney Star Wars. They don't want to use any of the original stuff, so they don't have to pay royalties.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking the training montages just kind of suck in the new movies. Like, they're just, I don't like the way training montages are done. You need Stallone to 80s montage it. That's when it's at its best. Because Stallone can make a montage. He practically invented the damn thing.
Yep, that's one big reason why I love Rambo Last Blood as much as I do.
Nobody can montage like Stallone.
Nope. So I'm gonna axe it here. That's our ranking of the Rocky movies. I was gonna do a ranking the Rambo movies tonight as well, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. We'll do that next week.
Yeah, it's after midnight. Yeah, I think that'd work. We gotta space it out. I gotta really think about the Rambo things. I gotta rewatch 5.
I need to rewatch
That's
3.
the one I don't own.
But with all that being said, post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. What is your ranking of the Rocky movies? Tell me down below. Go subscribe to Shawnee Boy's channel. I'm sure he's got some stuff coming out pretty soon. I don't know what.
Yep,
But
I got a video. I just have to put the customized thumbnail. The next movie review is on Justice League Throne of Atlantis. And it's all done. It's taken care of. So.
And with all that being said, yeah, look forward to the ranking of the Rambo movies, and I will see you guys in the next video.